So this tree on the right, this one that was close, this one that I had originally intended to keep quite dark, it was so important I felt that I had to raise the light on it a little bit. So I did that with the foliage, lit a little more on the trunk, and it gave the trunk more shape as well. So I'm happy I did that. Raised the chroma a little bit. And the trunk to the left, I dumped down the chroma a little bit and raised the value and made the lines a little softer so that it doesn't compete. But what I'd like to talk about right now really is this kind of thing. These little branches from these small trees that don't have any leaves left on them. Now, when I go into these branches, for one thing, I had they were very pointy, a lot of them, and I went to the store, I bought a pool noodle, I cut it up into little bits, and I walked over to the branches and I put it on the end of the branches, just a little bit of foam so that nobody would poke their eye out when they went for a nature walk. And then I backed up and I thought, okay, that looks better, I'll just paint it like that. So I dulled the points on those branches a little bit. Now, because I've got so much other detail now coming into the painting as it nears its end, those little pointy bits were not bothering me so much anymore. So I mixed a little bit of cobalt blue and raw umber and white and went over all these little guys very carefully, but not too carefully. You can see that intermittently I've lifted the brush. I have not painted the branch solidly all the way from top to bottom. I've left some areas with a lot of the underpainting showing, and I've completely stopped the line in a lot of places so that the trees look somewhat sectioned, the trunks. And that keeps the painting look a little bit looser, especially because this stuff is in the distance. I don't want it. I don't want these trees to have solid lines of color from the bottom to the top. It doesn't befit this style. It works okay on other styles, but even then, not so much. Had I not left little bits of the underpainting showing through and broken up the trunks and made them look a little bit crude, what you would have is very sleek, curvy, sort of wispy, but also, well, I'm just going to say it, amateurish looking trees, because in nature, even on a small tree like that, on those trunks, there are bits that are just appear very dark, and they still have light and dark areas, you know? And for the sake of this painting, I don't mind sort of smoother, more graceful strokes on some of the larger masses, but for the small stuff, I didn't want that. Anyway, again, not a whole lot's been done, but, well, actually, I have been at it for a while. I think, well, there's still a plethora of places I need to work on this painting. We're still going to come up into these bushes and give them a little bit of sparkle near the top, and maybe reconfigure the shapes a bit. And also, you know, I think what I'm going to do next is come into the foreground and vary the light on the foreground a little more. Just change the shape of things a bit. Not literally change the shape of the rock or of the forms, but use value and color, which of course transforms into the perception of light. I'm happy to be getting towards the end of this painting, but I'm very happy with the way it's turning out. Okay, see you soon.